Dillian Whyte and Dereck Chisora have weighed in ahead of their fight tomorrow night. They weighed in separately, different times to avoid any more shenanigans. Dillian Whyte came in at 246 pounds, which in English money is 17 stone 8. And Dereck Chisora came in at 250 pounds, which in stone is 17 stone 12 pounds. There was a couple of ounces on there, but you guys don't care about the ounces. We just care about the stone and pounds or the pounds. So yeah, Whyte 246. That's actually several pounds lighter than he was for his last fight against Ian Lewison. Against Ian Lewison, I think he was 252 or 253, something like that. So he's quite a bit lighter than he was against Lewison. And Dereck Chisora weighing in at 250. That's similar to what Chisora's been weighing for a lot of his recent fights, actually. In fact, let me just check Dereck Chisora's box rec and see what he has been weighing in his past couple of fights. I think he's been weighing around the 250 mark. Actually, no. His last fight, which was in Sweden, Dereck Chisora weighed 262 pounds. Wow, so he really was heavy in that fight. The fight before that against Kubrat Pulev, he was 241. And before that, he was 250, 256, 250, 260, 253, 241 in the Fury rematch. So he's certainly not he's certainly not as light for this fight against Dillian Whyte as he was against Kubrat Pulev a couple of fights ago. Certainly not as light as he was against Tyson Fury. So yeah, some people might wonder about Dereck Chisora's shape. I think personally, just looking at him, by his standards, he looks in fairly decent condition. And I'm sure he's trained hard because he's had to shed a lot of weight since his last fight. Whatever it was, 12 pounds he is lighter than his last fight. So he's obviously trained hard just to get all that weight off and do all the sparring and all the running and all that kind of thing. So I'm sure he's in fairly decent condition and I'm sure his engine will be there. And as far as Dillian Whyte, as I say, he's weighed in substantially lighter. I'm just checking his box rec now. Indeed, he was 253 pounds against Ian Lewison. So he's now 246. That is, 7 pounds lighter than he was against Ian Lewison, half a stone. So again, by his standards, he looks in pretty good condition, Dillian Whyte. He's never going to be a body beautiful type, particularly now that he's entering his late 20s, or he's already in his late 20s, I mean, pushing 30 now. So he's never going to be the body beautiful type. Neither is Dereck Chisora. So for his type of physique, for his type of body, for his type of metabolism, 246 is a pretty good weight for Dillian Whyte. And he looks in reasonably good condition. He doesn't have big rolls of fat hanging over him or anything like that, hanging over his waistline. So he's in decent condition. And yeah, I guess he's ready to go. He looked happy at the weigh-in. He looked confident, just as Dereck Chisora did. So I'm definitely looking forward to this fight. My prediction remains the same. I'm taking Dillian Whyte to win this fight on points. Some people a lot of people are picking Chisora. A lot of people think this is a 50-50 fight. I just don't see it as a 50-50 fight. Now, because I don't see it as 50-50, that don't mean I don't think Chisora's got a chance. I do think he's got a chance. But 50-50 is where you're not even sure who's going to win. No, I am sure who's going to win. I think Dillian Whyte's going to win. I'm pretty confident he's going to win on points. Some people are picking Dillian Whyte by stoppage, and that is a possibility. But Chisora is so tough. He's only been knocked out once. He's only been knocked down, twice in the David Haye fight. And David Haye is a very explosive puncher. It took David Haye 5 rounds to find the punches to put Chisora on the floor. David Haye, in my view, not only hits harder than Dillian Whyte, but he's much sharper and much more explosive. And when he lands his power shots, they connect on the chins of these guys far more frequently than when Dillian Whyte does. I don't think he's quite as accurate as David Haye. So with all that said, you look at Chisora, he went the distance with Tyson Fury twice. He went the distance with Robert Helenius, who is a big puncher. He went the distance with Vitaly Klitschko, who can bang a bit as well. So, just looking at Dereck Chisora's track record for toughness against guys who can punch, I see it going the distance. Regardless of who wins, I think it's likely to go the distance. Even Dillian Whyte, although he was knocked out by Anthony Joshua, he took a hell of a shellacking in that fight before he eventually succumbed to Joshua in the 7th round when he was very tired. So I think Dillian Whyte himself has got a good chin. And with Dereck Chisora not being a particularly big puncher, certainly not a prolific puncher, I find it difficult to imagine Dereck Chisora stopping Dillian Whyte either. I mean, it is the heavyweight division at the end of the day, and when you've got a guy like Dereck Chisora who's not a prolific puncher, if he does land a haymaker out of nowhere, you know, occasionally some guys can land just the perfect shot in their career and get a knockout. Similar to Hasim Ratman when he knocked out Lennox Lewis. How many times have you actually seen Ratman land the right hand that clean and delivered that well in his career against a top level opponent? Not many times, but he managed to do it against Lewis when it counted. So yeah, I mean, you never know in the heavyweight division, big guys slinging hands around with 10-ounce gloves on, strange things can happen when those hands connect on chins. But in terms of possibilities, I still have to stick with what I think is the most likely scenario, and that is that the fight goes the distance regardless of who wins. And I think in terms of likelihood of who wins, I still think it's going to be Dillian Whyte. I think he's younger. I think he's fresher. I think he's got the better skills, and that's ultimately what I think this is going to come down to. I know Chisora is experienced, but what has the experience brought him really? Does he do anything different now than he used to do when he was less experienced? He's a very basic fighter. He walks forward, he bobs his head a little bit, he throws punches. That's it. When he gets hurt, he tends to back off and take a little walk around the ring. Yeah, he did that against Hellenius in the first round when he was hurt. He did that against, I think it was Parler. It was either Parler or Gerber. He fought one of those guys. Well, he fought both of those guys, but he was hurt by I think it was in the Parler fight, and he took a walk around. Yeah, and he's done that in several fights. When he gets hurt, he'll walk around the ring for a little bit. So he's doing the same things now as he was always doing. It's not like he's advanced that much technically as a fighter at all. He still throws sloppy punches, still don't turn his shots over correctly, so on and so forth. He doesn't have particularly good hand speed. He's not particularly accurate. You know, his jab, when he uses it, is actually decent, I guess, for his style of fighter, for a pressure fighter. He's got a decent jab when he uses it. He don't use it enough. Maybe we'll see him use it more in this fight. Maybe that could be a factor. You know, if I want to look at Dereck Chisora and think, okay, what could he do that would cause Dillian Whyte the most problems? It might be his jab, because Dillian Whyte's got a good jab himself. So rather than just be on the end of that jab, why not try jab with him? Maybe bob and weave, slip the jab, land your own jab. So perhaps that might be one of the things that Dillian Whyte has problems with in the fight with Chisora here. If Chisora is able to establish that jab to the body, jab to the head, he might be able to do something with it. Although Dillian Whyte, if you see the way he holds his hands, he likes to hold his right glove in front of his mouth. And that's to catch the jabs. That's probably something that Jonathan Banks taught him, because Klitschko also likes to do that. He likes to hold his right hand in front of his mouth a lot of the time to catch the opponent's jab. So we'll see if Dillian Whyte continues to do that, or if Mark Tibbs has adjusted that and told him not to do it anymore. I don't know. But even if he does start getting hit by jabs in the mouth, he'll probably revert back to it anyway. But yeah, bottom line is, I think Dillian Whyte is the younger, fresher guy. I think he's faster, and I think he's just got better skills than Dereck Chisora. And it will come down to skills, youth, and what have you. The best chance I give Dereck Chisora is to try and turn it into a dogfight early. Get under Dillian Whyte's skin. Dereck Chisora might even do some illegal stuff, particularly early in the fight. And if he does, Dillian Whyte is definitely going to respond with illegal tactics of his own. Chisora might be a bit reckless with the head. He might hit low. He might do something reckless early on to try and rile Dillian Whyte as a tactical thing, to try and get him upset and get him to be involved in a tear-up. And the tear-up will, I think, favor Dereck Chisora, because it will neutralize a lot of Dillian Whyte's better technique, because he'll start swinging and trying to go for power shots. And at the same time, it might wear him down early on and allow Dereck Chisora to actually come on late in the fight and apply some pressure with, you know, that is one thing with his experience. He should know how to pace himself in a fight better than Dillian Whyte does, because he has been 12 rounds numerous times, Dereck Chisora. So we'll see how it goes. Anyway, you guys let me know what you think in the comment section below. Who do you think is going to win the fight? What did you think about the condition of both men? Were you expecting them to be in better condition? What did you think about the weights? Are these good weights for these guys? With Dereck Chisora weighing around the same kind of weight that he's been weighing for this stage of his career, and Dillian Whyte coming in significantly lighter actually than he was in the Ian Lewison fight. What did you think about the weights? And yeah, just let me know your final thoughts on the fight. It's your boy Hatman, I'm out.